After a difficult divorce, the woman finally began to come to her senses. One day, having accidentally met her former mother-in-law and unable to hide her smile, she had no idea what a storm of emotions her good mood would cause in her. The mother-in-law, wasting no time, rushed to her son with indignation. "She's mocking us, living happily ever after. And this is. After you cheated on her and abandoned her." Good day, dear listeners. I am glad to welcome you to my channel. I present to you a new, interesting story. Enjoy listening. Maya Zakharovna Kravtsova considered herself an unsinkable cruiser all her life. 48 years of courage behind Igor Stepanovich, the district prosecutor, taught her not just to survive, but to rule, gently but firmly. Everyone knew that if Maya Zakharovna wanted something, she would get it. On that cool September morning, she stood by the kitchen window, stirring her tea with a silver spoon, a gift from her husband for their 30th wedding anniversary. Igor Stepanovich died 5 years ago, but his invisible presence could still be felt in every corner of the country cottage. "Mom, have you seen my blue tie?" Maxim, her 36-year-old son, tall like his father but with her delicate features, looked into the kitchen. "In the closet, where it usually is. I ironed it yesterday." Maya Zakharovna looked critically at her son. "Change your shirt, it's wrinkled, and shave better. Today is an important day." Maxim just sighed. There was no point in arguing with my mother. It's easier to do as she says. It was always easier this way. "Yana will arrive at 6, he reminded, glancing at the wall clock. Maya Zakharovna's face instantly changed. Her smile became strained, and a chill appeared in her eyes. Yes, I remember. I'll make dinner. The first meeting should be special." When her son disappeared into the bathroom, she allowed herself to grimace. Maxim's new passion was already the 5th in the last 3 years, and Maya Zakharovna had successfully filtered out each previous one. Too simple, too ambitious, too stupid, too nervous. None of them were suitable for her son. "And this is Yana," she muttered, opening the refrigerator. "Let's see what kind of stuff she's made of." Yana Voronina turned out to be completely different from what Maya Zakharovna had imagined. Short, with a short haircut and attentive gray eyes, she entered the apartment with a bouquet of white chrysanthemums and a bottle of good wine. "Maya Zakharovna, very nice to meet you." Her smile was sincere but not ingratiating. "Maxim told me so much about you. I hope only good things." Maya Zakharovna accepted the flowers with regal grace. "Come into the kitchen. I just finished dinner." At the table, Yana behaved calmly and confidently, answered questions directly, without trying to pretend to be someone else. She works as a graphic designer, originally from Nizhny Novgorod. Her parents are retired engineers. She came to Moscow 7 years ago and rents an apartment with a friend. "And how old are you, Yana?" Maya Zakharovna cut herself a piece of meat without looking at her interlocutor. 29, Yana answered. "Oh, not a girl anymore." And of course they weren't married. "Mom," Maxim blushed, "what kind of interrogation is this?" "It's okay," Yana said calmly. "No, I wasn't married. Somehow it didn't work out." "And the children?" "No children either." Maya Zakharovna raised her eyebrows meaningfully. "At your age, it's time to think about a family. Time flies, you know. I think Yana sang the wine that you need to start a family when you meet the right person, and not according to the calendar." Maxim threw a grateful glance at Yana, but Maya Zakharovna already sensed something was wrong. This girl didn't bend over backwards, didn't try to please, and this was unusual and suspicious. "And how do you feel about children, Yana?" Maya Zakharovna continued. "You understand that it's important for a man to have heirs." "Mom, maybe we shouldn't talk about this right now," Maxim pleaded. "What's the big deal?" The mother feigned surprise. "A normal conversation. I should know who my son is dating." "I love children," Yana replied with a slight smile. "But I think the decision about them should be made by 2 people, not just the mother of one of the partners." Silence fell in the room. Maya Zakharovna slowly put down her fork. "Yana cooks very well, Mom," Maxim hastened to intervene. "Her borscht is simply incredible. That's how it is." Maya Zakharovna smiled coldly. I'll have to try it sometime. Although, it seems to me, modern girls aren't particularly keen on cooking. All these careers, self-realization. I think it's possible to combine both, Yana retorted. If there is mutual respect and support. Maya Zakharovna realized this girl would be a tough nut to crack, but she hadn't lived with the prosecutor for 48 years in vain. She knew how to identify weaknesses and hit them without fail. 3 months later, Maxim announced that he and Yana had decided to get married. Maya Zakharovna then just shrugged and said, "Your life, son, is up to you." But inside, everything was seething. She had hoped that this affair would fizzle out like the previous ones, that Yana would reveal her flaws and Maxim himself would become disillusioned with her. But no, the girl turned out to be smarter. "We would like a modest wedding," Maxim said in a small group. "Modest?" Maya Zakharovna asked. "So you want to deprive your mother of the joy of seeing the lavish wedding of her only son? Mom, understand, we both don't like big celebrations." "Don't like them, or are you just saving?" She looked intently at her son. "You've always dreamed of a big wedding. Remember how? We discussed what your celebration would be like?" Maxim shifted awkwardly from foot to foot. "That was a long time ago, Mom. And, besides, Yana and I want to use the money for a down payment on an apartment, not for one day." "An apartment?" Maya Zakharovna frowned. "Why do you need an apartment? We have plenty of space. The upstairs rooms are empty. You can live there." "Mom, we want our own apartment. Should we spend money on a rented apartment or take out a mortgage?" "Are you crazy?" Maya Zakharovna clutched her heart. "I thought it was wiser for you to live with debts when you have your own place." Maxim was silent, and she realized that victory was near. "Listen, son," she switched to a confidential tone. "We'll have the wedding as it should be, and you'll live here for now. Then, when the children are born, we'll decide what to do next." When Yana learned about the decision to live with Maya Zakharovna, she didn't make a scene. She only asked, "Are you sure this is what you want?" "Mom's right," said Maxim. "A rented apartment or a mortgage are unnecessary expenses, and here we'll have our own floor." Yana was silent, then nodded. "Okay, we'll try." The wedding was exactly what Maya Zakharovna wanted, noisy, with many guests, most of whom were hers, acquaintances, with an expensive restaurant and a classic program. Yana held herself with dignity, but Maya Zakharovna could see that her daughter-in-law wasn't enjoying all this splendor. "Well, are you going to call me Mom now?" she asked Yana after the ceremony. "If you don't mind, I would prefer to address you by your first name and patronymic," Yana answered calmly. "As you know, Maya," Zakharovna smiled tensely, "but in our family, daughters-in-law always called their mothers-in-law Mama. Each generation has its own traditions." Yana remained unperturbed. "It's okay, I'll break you yet," Maria Zakharovna thought, but said out loud, "Of course, my dear. The main thing is that you and Maxim are happy." Maxim and Yana's married life began under the watchful eye of their mother-in-law. Although the newlyweds occupied the top floor of the house, Maya Zakharovna found 1,000 reasons to go up to them. "Yanochka, I baked some pies here," she said, entering without knocking. Maya Zakharovna, "Thank you, but next time, please knock," Yana answered calmly. "Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I've just gotten used to this being my home." Maya Zakharovna feigned embarrassment, but her eyes remained cold. "Or Maxim, you seem to have lost weight, and Yana isn't feeding you?" she asked in front of her daughter-in-law. "Mom, we eat at the common table, you know," her son replied. "Yes, but I'm not at home so often, and it seems to me that Yanochka is very busy with her work. There is no time left for cooking. Isn't that right, dear?" Yana did not succumb to provocations. "Maxim and I have equal rights, Maya Zakharovna. We both work and we both take care of the house. Equality." Maya Zakharovna shook her head. "In my time, wives took care of their husbands. They demanded equality." Gradually, Maya Zakharovna moved to more sophisticated tactics. Now she complained to her son about her health when they were alone. "My heart is acting up," she sighed. "But you, Yana, don't tell. I don't want to disturb her. She's already so tense all the time." "Mom, have you been to a cardiologist?" Maxim was worried. "Yes, he was last week. Says nerves." Loneliness, is not the best companion in old age. Maxim began to feel guilty. We are close, Mom. Nearby, but not with me, Maya Zakharovna smiled sadly. You have your own life, I understand everything. During these moments, Maxim promised to spend more time with her, canceled meetings with friends, and plans with his wife. Maya Zakharovna smiled imperceptibly. Her plan worked. By the end of the first year of marriage, the rift between the spouses became obvious. Maxim increasingly stayed downstairs with his mother, and Yana became increasingly immersed in work. Maxim, I want to have a serious talk, Yana said one evening when they were finally alone. This cannot go on any longer. What are you talking about? About your mother. She is methodically destroying our marriage. Maxim frowned. You're exaggerating. Mom just takes care of us. Caring looks different. Yana tried to speak calmly. Your mother controls our every step, criticizes me, manipulates you through health complaints. How can you say such a thing? Maxim was indignant. She really does have heart problems. And these problems become surprisingly aggravated when we plan to go somewhere together or when I disagree with her opinion. Maxim shook his head. You just don't understand. My mother dedicated her whole life to me and now she can't let me go. Yana sighed. Maxim, don't you see what's happening? She's trying to come between us. You're just jealous, he snapped. Mom will always be an important part of my life if you can't accept that. It's not that she's part of your life, Yana interrupted him. The thing is, she wants to be the only woman in your life. They argued until late at night but came to nothing. Maxim did not see or did not want to see the obvious, and Yana understood that with each passing day her mother-in-law was winning. New victories in this silent war. The second year of marriage began with new attacks from Maya Zakharovna. When can we expect grandchildren? She often asked. We've been together for 2 years already, and there's still no news. We're not planning to have children yet, Yana answered. Don't plan to? Maya Zakharovna raised her eyebrows. And time goes on. I want to babysit my grandchildren while I still have the strength. Maya Zakharovna, children are a serious step. We want to be prepared for it. Who is ever ready? Maya Zakharovna laughed. Children are always a leap into the unknown, but such a happy leap. And she turned to her son. Maxim, what do you think? Don't you really want children? He shrugged his shoulders in confusion. I want to, of course, but I have a license. You need to be prepared. Ready for what? You have a roof over your head, a job. What else do you need? Your own apartment, for example? Yana said quietly. It's the 25th again. Maya Zakharovna rolled her eyes theatrically. There is plenty of space for children. After such conversations, Maxim became thoughtful and detached, and Yana felt more and more alone in this battle, which she was slowly but surely losing. Gradually she noticed how her husband began to look at her with different eyes. Now he saw her not as a beloved woman, but as a source of problems. He was increasingly staying late at work, spending less and less time alone with her, and his mother-in-law continued to methodically undermine their relationship. You know, Maximka, she said to her son when Yana was not around, I do and think she really wants children. Maybe. She has some health problems she doesn't talk about? Or, have you noticed how Yana reacts when I talk about grandchildren? It seems like the very idea of children is unpleasant to her. And Maxim began to doubt, to suspect, to look at his wife through the eyes of a mother. By the end of the 3rd year, their marriage was falling apart at the seams. Yana withdrew into herself and immersed herself in work. Maxim increasingly found solace in conversations with his mother and a group of colleagues. Maya Zakharovna continued a quiet but merciless war, which she waged with the methodicalness of an experienced commander. And, when Maxim once confessed to her that he had a colleague with whom he felt much better than with his wife, Maya Zakharovna only smiled and said, You deserve happiness, son. If you're unhappy with Yana, maybe you should think about divorce? Thus, Yana and Maxim's family happiness, initially under fire, was effectively shot down. And this was exactly what Maya Zakharovna had been striving for from the very first day. The news of Maxim's affair with a colleague hit Yana like a summer rainstorm, unexpectedly and mercilessly. That evening she returned home earlier than usual, pleased with the completed project. Maya Zakharovna met her in the kitchen, drinking tea with such a satisfied look, as if she had just won the lottery. "Yanochka dear, you're early today." The corners of her mother-in-law smiled, as if enjoying some secret. "Yes, I finished the project ahead of schedule." Yana put the kettle on. "And Maxim hasn't arrived yet." "Oh, Maxim." Maya Zakharovna emphasized his name with a special intonation. "He's late," he called and said he had an important meeting, something in. Her mother-in-law's voice made Yana wary. A business meeting at 8 p.m. is not exactly businesslike. Maya Zakharovna took a sip of tea, clearly prolonging the, shall we say, personal moment with Christina. With what other Christina? Yana felt her heart squeeze. With his colleague. Her mother-in-law feigned surprise. "Didn't he tell you? They've been communicating, for almost a month now, closely communicating." The world around Yana spun like a carousel. She sank into a chair, trying to comprehend what she had heard. "You're lying," she said quietly. "Why would I lie?" Maya Zakharovna shrugged. "I'm worried about my son. He suffers so much, torn between you. A good boy doesn't want to hurt you. I think honesty is the best policy." Yana looked at her mother-in-law, and at that moment everything fell into place. Every nagging, every hint, every undermining of her authority in Maxim's eyes. It was all part of the plan, and the plan worked. But the worst thing was confirmed when Maxim returned home at 11 o'clock, smelling of an unfamiliar perfume. "We need to talk," Yana said, meeting him in the hallway. He shuddered, as if he had been caught red-handed. "About what?" "About Christina." Maxim's face changed. There was neither denial nor indignation, only a mixture of guilt and relief. "Where are you from?" Mom said. "So it's true." Yana felt a strange calm. "You're cheating on me." Maxim walked into the room, took off his jacket, and sank heavily into a chair. "I didn't want everything to turn out this way. It just happened. It just happened." Yana chuckled. "For 3 years, your mother systematically destroyed our marriage, and you just stood and watched. And now you're cheating on me, and that too, it just happened? Don't bring Mom into this." Maxim raised his voice. "She has nothing to do with it." "Really?" Yana shook her head. "But it seems to me that she is the main architect of this destruction. Stop it." He slammed his fist on the table. "You always blame Mom for everything. Maybe the problem is you? That you never tried to accept her." Yana suddenly realized that arguing was useless. Maxim was hopelessly blind, and perhaps she had been blind too when she married him, hoping that love would win. "You know what, Maxim?" she said quietly. "I give up. You won. Or rather, your mother won." "What are you talking about?" "I'm filing for divorce." The words hung in the air, heavy and inevitable. Maxim looked at her in amazement. It seemed he expected tears, screams, begs for forgiveness, but not such a calm decision. "Are you sure?" he muttered. "Absolutely." The divorce went quickly and relatively smoothly. There were no children, the property was not divided, the house was registered to her mother-in-law, and Yana had only enough things for 2 suitcases. She packed in one evening and moved in with a friend while she looked for a new place to live. Maya Zakharovna did not hide her triumph. When Yana left their house for the last time, her mother-in-law stood on the porch, like a sentry, watching the enemy retreat. "Well, it didn't work out," she said with poorly concealed satisfaction. "It happens." Yana looked at her for a long time. "You wanted this from the very beginning, Maya Zakharovna. Congratulations on your victory. I don't understand what you're talking about, mother-in-law." Pursing your lips. "I always wanted happiness for Maxim. If your marriage didn't stand the test, it means it wasn't strong enough. Do you know what's the saddest thing?" Yana grabbed the handle of her suitcase. "What you still don't understand is that you made not only me, but also your son unhappy." And with these words, she left the house that she had tried to make her own for 3 years, but which had always remained Maya Zakharovna's fortress. In the first week after the divorce, Maya Zakharovna felt like a winner. She got her son back, got rid of the unwanted daughter-in-law, and proved her power over the situation. Maxim lived with her again, ate breakfast at her table, and listened to her advice. She explained that he looked depressed and unhappy as a natural process after a breakup. "Time heals, son," she said, putting another cutlet on his plate. "Soon you'll understand that even this better." Maxim nodded, but there was emptiness in his eyes. The affair with his colleague Christina quickly fizzled out. The girl turned out to be unprepared for a relationship with a divorced man living with his mother. "And is it your Christina who doesn't come to see us for some reason?" Maya Zakharovna asked cautiously. "A month after the divorce. We broke up," Maxim answered shortly. "That's good," his mother said, not hiding her satisfaction. "She wasn't a match for you. Silly, frivolous." "Mom, that's enough." Maxim got up from the table. "I don't want to discuss this." Maya Zakharovna didn't understand why her son didn't appreciate her concern. After all, she had freed him from an unsuitable wife. She had brought him back, home. She was ready to devote all her time and attention to him. What was he missing? And Maxim was staying late, at work more and more often, talking to her in the evenings less and less often. Sometimes he looked at his phone, with such a sad expression that Maya Zakharovna began to worry that he might have decided to contact this Yana. But her worries, they were in vain. Yana didn't call, didn't write, didn't try to rekindle the relationship. She simply disappeared from their lives. "I wonder how she is," Maxim asked one day, as if thinking out loud. "She found a place to live. How is her work? What do you care about her?" Maya Zakharovna became wary. "It's all over. No point in stirring up the past." Maxim remained silent, but the expression on his face alarmed his mother. She had to make sure that his ex-daughter-in-law was really thrown out of his life forever. Maya Zakharovna began to discreetly look through her son's phone when he left it at home. I checked his email, social networks, monitored his mood, his conversations. She should have been sure that her victory was final, but her intuition told her that while Yana was somewhere out there alive and well, the threat had not completely passed. Maya Zakharovna dreamed of seeing her former daughter-in-law broken, humiliated, lost. Only then could she finally calm down. She had been anticipating this meeting for a month, imagining how pathetic Yana would look, a dull look, an unkempt appearance, perhaps even tears. Maya Zakharovna almost savored this picture, mentally rehearsing the condescending phrases she would say to her former daughter-in-law. The opportunity presented itself completely unexpectedly. In a large shopping center, where Maya Zakharovna came to shop, she noticed a familiar figure. Yana stood at the window of an expensive boutique, talking with two friends. Maya Zakharovna froze, not believing her eyes. Yana looked wonderful. A new stylish haircut, an elegant dress, high-heeled shoes, but most importantly, the expression on her face. She smiled sincerely, brightly, carefree, as if the divorce had become not a tragedy for her, but a liberation. Maya Zakharovna felt a lump of rage rising in her throat. How dare this girl look happy? How can she smile when she should be suffering? She moved closer, hiding behind a column to better hear the conversation. And then the client says, "Can we still go back to the first option?" Yana said, laughing. Can you imagine, after 2 weeks of reworking, her friends groaned sympathetically, but Yana just waved her hand. "Oh well, at least they increased the fee. I can now afford that bag I've had my eye on for a long time." "You're great," one of the girls said. "After everything that happened, you didn't give up." "You know," Yana smiled, "sometimes you have to lose something to gain much more. This divorce, it set me free." Maya Zakharovna almost choked with indignation. Freed. Did she really think her marriage to Maxim was a prison? What ingratitude. With trembling hands, she took out her phone and dialed her son's number. "Maxim, you won't believe it. I just saw your ex Christina?" he asked, confused. "What Christina?" "Yana." Maya Zakharovna almost screamed into the phone. "She's here at the mall having fun with her friends, all dressed up and happy." "And what?" Maxim's voice sounded perplexed. How? That she's making fun of us living the high life. And this after you cheated on her and left her. There was silence on the other end of the line. Maxim, can you hear me? Yes, Mom. His voice suddenly became somehow distant. I can hear you, and I'm glad that. She's doing well. Glad. Maya Zakharovna snorted with indignation. How can you be happy? She should suffer, cry, be in agony without you. Mom, can you hear yourself? Maxim asked quietly. Why do you need other people suffering? This question caught Maya Zakharovna off guard. She couldn't find what to say and simply disconnected the call. She spent the whole day in an irritated state. The picture of a happy Yana haunted her, and in the evening, when Maxim returned home, she immediately attacked him. I've been thinking about that ungrateful girl all day. It was, as if she wasn't even worried about the divorce. Maxim wearily sank into a chair. Mom, let's not talk about it. What do you mean, not let's talk about it? Don't you understand? She's happy that she got rid of you. Us. We meant nothing to her. Maxim was silent, staring into space ahead. This angered Maya Zakharovna even more. Do you even understand how insulting this is? She should have come, groveled at my feet, begged for forgiveness, begged me to come back. For what? Maxim suddenly asked. What? For? What? What should she apologize for? For the fact that I cheated on her? Maya Zakharovna stopped short, but quickly found herself blaming herself for failing to save the family, for not being a good wife to you. If only she had tried harder. Enough. Maxim raised his hand. Just enough, Mom. He stood up and left the room, leaving Maya Zakharovna perplexed. But she wasn't going to give in so easily. If Yana thinks she can just leave and be happy, she's very much mistaken. That same evening, when Maxim locked himself in his room, Maya Zakharovna was sitting at the computer looking at Yana's open page on a social network. My ex-daughter-in-law posted new photos of her with her friends at a cafe, at some exhibition, at her desk, in a beautiful office. She's making fun of me, thought Maria Zakharovna, scrolling through her feed. She specifically shows how happy she is without us. And then it dawned on her, if Yana values her work so much, if she is so proud of her career as a designer, what will happen if this career is destroyed? The plan came together quickly. She called Maxim, who reluctantly came out of his room. Son, I just thought, this is Yana. She's a terrible specialist, isn't she? Maya Zakharovna began from afar. What? Maxim frowned. No, she is a great designer. Oh, come on. Maya Zakharovna waved her hand. You were just blinded. Remember how many times she reworked projects to meet clients' requests. This is normal practice in her field. Do you remember that terrible logo she made for your friend's store? He was so banal. Maxim sighed. Mom, what is the point of this conversation? I just think Maya Zakharovna put on an innocent face, that people should know the truth. If she's so untalented, why not warn potential clients? What do you mean? Anxiety appeared in Maxim's voice. Well, you can leave a couple of honest reviews on the websites where she works, to warn people. Are you crazy? Maxim looked at his mother as if he was seeing her for the first time. This is mean. And the way she behaves now is not low. She is happy when you suffer. I don't suffer because Yana is happy, Maxim said firmly. I suffer because I lost a good person. And if you do anything to harm her, he didn't. Finish the sentence, but Maya Zakharovna caught something new in his eyes, a determination she hadn't seen before. This scared her, but did not stop her. Okay, she feigned surrender. It was a stupid idea. Forget. But as soon as Maxim returned to his room, Maya Zakharovna opened a new tab in the browser. She will find a way to put this upstart in her place, and Maxim will never know that it was her. The plan was simple, but, as it seemed to Maya Zakharovna, effective. She created several fake accounts on freelance exchanges where Yana worked, then began leaving negative reviews about her. Work, terrible designer. She missed all the deadlines and had to redo everything, she wrote on behalf of a fictitious client. I do not recommend this contractor. A complete lack of taste and professionalism, she wrote in. Another review. Maxim saw his mother sitting at the computer for hours, but he didn't pay any attention to it. She always loved watching TV series online. Amaya Zakharovna continued her quiet revenge, hoping that with each negative comment she would further undermine her former daughter-in-law's reputation. Sometimes Maxim himself joined the gang, unaware of it. Maya Zakharovna took his phone when he was sleeping and also left angry reviews on his behalf. She was sure that the more such comments there were, the faster Yana would lose clients and orders. Then she would understand what it meant to lose everything, Maya Zakharovna thought, adding another devastating review. Then she would regret not appreciating Maxim. She was encouraged by the fact that Yana didn't react to the attacks. That means she's afraid, she decided. That means the plan is working. But most of all, Maya Zakharovna enjoyed the feeling of power. She could ruin someone's career from her chair. It was almost as satisfying as watching someone else's marriage crumble. I wonder if she's crying yet, thought Maria Zakharovna, sending yet another complaint to the freelance exchange. I wonder if she already understands that it's best not to mess with me? She didn't know that Yana had long ago noticed the flurry of negative comments, and that not only had she not cried, but she had already begun to act. While Maya Zakharovna rejoiced, anticipating the collapse of her former daughter-in-law, Yana methodically collected evidence of cyberbullying and prepared to give a rebuff that her mother-in-law had never expected. Yana noticed the first negative comments 2 weeks after the divorce. At first, she didn't pay attention to them. In the design industry, there were always dissatisfied clients or envious competitors. But when the reviews began appearing with alarming regularity and their tone became increasingly poisonous, she became wary. Sitting in her new small rented apartment, Yana carefully studied each comment. Something about them was strangely familiar, the manner of expression, characteristic, turns of phrase, and most suspiciously, the reviews mentioned projects that she had never completed. Curious, Yana muttered, sipping coffee from a large mug. It turns out that someone was deliberately trying to tarnish my reputation. She opened her laptop and began methodically compiling a table. The time the reviews were published, the platforms where they appeared, the writing style. With all the information in front of her, there was no doubt. Maya Zakharovna and possibly Maxim were behind the attack. Instead of the panic or despair that her former relatives expected, Yana felt a cold determination. 3 years of living with Maxim and his mother had not been in vain. She learned to withstand psychological pressure and anticipate underhanded moves. So, war. Yana grinned, closing the laptop. Well, let's play. In the morning, Yana met with her friend Sofia, who worked at an IT company. I need your help, she said, placing printouts of reviews on the table. Someone is trying to ruin my reputation, and I want to know for sure who is behind it. Sofia carefully studied the materials. I can try to track the IP addresses from which these comments were sent. It doesn't always work 100%, but might give us a lead. Do everything you can. Yana squeezed her friend's hand gratefully. This is important. 3 days later, Sofia sent her a message. Come, there are results. In the cozy office of the IT company, Sofia showed Yana her findings. Look, most of the comments were left from the same IP address. It's a home internet connection registered in the name of MZ Kravtsova. Maya Zakharovna, Yana nodded. I thought so, but that's not all. Sofia pointed to the screen. Some of the comments were sent from a mobile device, apparently from Maxim's phone. Do you recognize the number? Yana looked at the glowing numbers and felt a lump in her throat. Even after the divorce, even after everything that had happened, her ex-husband's betrayal could still hurt. I recognize it, she said quietly. It's his number. I'm sorry. Sofia sympathetically touched her shoulder. It's okay, Yana straightened up. Now I have evidence, and I know what to do next. The next day, Yana made an appointment with a lawyer. Nikolai Dmitrievich Stepashin, an experienced lawyer specializing in libel and cybercrime cases, listened carefully to her story. What you are describing is a classic case of cyberbullying with elements of slander, he said, looking through the materials Yana had collected. We have enough evidence to file a lawsuit. What are the chances of winning? Yana asked. Considering the evidence you have collected, they are very high. Nikolai Dmitrievich adjusted his glasses. But B. Prepared for the fact that the process may drag on and the opposing side will probably deny everything. I am ready, Yana said firmly. For 3 years I have endured humiliation and manipulation. Not another day. The lawyer nodded approvingly. Then we will begin preparing the documents. And one more piece of advice. Contact your major clients and tell them honestly about the situation. It is better if they learn about the problem from you rather than from negative reviews. This advice turned out to be priceless. Over the next week, Yana called all her regular clients and explained the situation. To her surprise, no one canceled their collaboration. Moreover, several clients offered additional projects to support her during this difficult period. We appreciate your professionalism, Yana, said the owner of the advertising agency she had worked with for the past 2 years, and we don't pay attention to anonymous comments on the internet. This support gave her strength and confidence. She continued to work with redoubled energy while simultaneously preparing a lawsuit with a lawyer. Maya Zakharovna and Maxim, meanwhile, were unaware of the approaching storm. The subpoena was a bolt from the blue for Maya Zakharovna. When she opened the envelope, at first she couldn't believe her eyes. Plaintiff Voronina Yana Igorevna. Defendants Kravtsova Maya. Zakharovna. Kravtsov Maxim Igorovich. The case is about slander and cyberbullying. This is some kind of mistake, she muttered, rereading a document. What slander? What cyberbullying? But the more she read the text, the paler her face turned. The lawsuit detailed all. Her actions, creating fake accounts, publishing false reviews, attempts to discredit her professional reputation. And worst of all, the document was accompanied by irrefutable technical evidence. When Maxim returned from work, Maya Zakharovna met him in the hallway waving a subpoena. Did you see this? This is yours. She's suing us. Maxim took the document, glanced at it, and slowly sank into a chair. Mom, what have you done? Me? What does this have to do with me? Maya Zakharovna tried to feign indignation, but it came out unconvincing. It's clearly stated here that you created fake accounts and wrote false reviews about Yana's work. Maxim looked at his mother with bewilderment and growing anger. And what's worse, you used my phone to do the same thing in my name. I just wanted to protect you. Maya Zakharovna went on the offensive. That girl broke your heart, and then she was even happy about it. No, Mom. Maxim shook his head. It was I who broke her heart. I cheated on her. I allowed you to ruin our marriage, and now you're trying to ruin her career. There was such disappointment in his voice that Maya Zakharovna was momentarily at a loss. But old habits prevailed. You always defend her, even now when she drags us through court. Because she's right, Maxim said quietly. And we were mean. The court hearing was scheduled for the end of the month. All this time, Maya Zakharovna was in a state between panic and anger. She tried to persuade Maxim to hire a good lawyer who would drop the case, but her son refused. I admit my guilt, he said, ready to take responsibility. What guilt? Maya Zakharovna threw up her hands. You did nothing. I allowed you to do it, Maxim replied, bitterly. And that's even worse. The day of the trial arrived inexorably. Maya Zakharovna put on her best suit, styled her hair, and even applied makeup. She was going to appear before the court as a respectable lady who was unfairly accused. But all her plans collapsed when she saw Yana. The former daughter-in-law looked striking. A strict business suit, her hair neatly pulled back, a calm, confident gaze. Next to her stood a distinguished middle-aged man, her lawyer. The court hearing began with the presentation of evidence. Nikolai Dmitrievich methodically laid out the facts, technical data confirming IP addresses, screenshots, a linguistic examination that showed a similarity in the style of the fake reviews to other texts by Maya Zakharovna. The actions of the defendants, the lawyer said, represent a targeted campaign to discredit my client's professional reputation. This is not just an emotional reaction to the divorce, but a cold-blooded attempt to deprive a person of his livelihood. Maya Zakharovna listened. She felt the earth slipping from under her feet. She had always considered the internet a huge dumpster where she could write anything without consequences. The idea that she would have to answer for her virtual actions under real laws had never occurred to her. When it was time for the defense, the lawyer hired by Maya Zakharovna at the last minute tried to build a line about the emotional shock of her son's family's breakup and the older woman's lack of understanding of the seriousness of online communication. But these arguments sounded unconvincing in the face of the evidence presented. Maxim, contrary to his mother's expectations, did not deny his guilt. I didn't know about my mother's actions on my phone, he told the court. But that's no excuse. I should have controlled access to my devices better, and I sincerely regret the harm I caused my ex-wife. Maya Zakharovna looked at her son in bewilderment. Where had that obedient boy who always stood by her side gone? At the end of the hearing, the judge called a recess for the ruling. Yana left the courtroom without a glance at her former relatives, and Maya Zakharovna sank heavily onto the bench. This is all your fault, she hissed at Maxim. If only you had supported me. No, Mom, he shook his head. It's all because of you. It was always because of you. The court's decision was harsh for Maya Zakharovna. She was found guilty of defamation and cyberbullying. They were ordered to pay significant compensation for moral damages and to publicly refute the disseminated information. Maxim received a lesser fine given his confession and the fact that his devices were used without his knowledge. But financial sanctions were not the worst thing. The worst part was the public humiliation. The story made local news, and now all her friends, all her neighbors, knew that the respected Maya Zakharovna had been harassing her own ex-daughter-in-law on the internet. How will I look people in the eye now? She read, returning home after the trial. All authority, all respect. And just think about how it was for Yana, Maxim said quietly. Maya Zakharovna did not answer. For the first time in her life, she was faced with a situation where the usual manipulations did not work. That same evening, Maxim told her the news, which was the final blow. I'm moving out, Mom. What? Where? Maya Zakharovna jumped up from her chair. I'm renting an apartment. I need space to think about my life. Are you leaving me because of her? There was genuine despair in Maya Zakharovna's voice. No, Mom, not because of her, because of myself. I need to finally grow up and start taking responsibility for my actions. She tried to object, to cry, to press on the feeling of guilt, all the techniques that had previously worked without fail on her son. But something had changed. Maxim looked at her with sadness, but the decision was firm. A week later, he moved out, leaving Maya Zakharovna alone in a large house filled with memories of her former life, when she felt omnipotent. Meanwhile, Yana was experiencing a period of incredible professional growth. After the trial, her reputation was not only restored but strengthened. The story of her confrontation with her former relatives brought her unexpected popularity in professional circles. We admire your resilience, the director of a major advertising campaign told her, offering her a contract. You didn't give up, you fought for your reputation. This says more about your character than any portfolio. The orders came pouring in. Yana worked day and night, completely immersed in her profession. Her work became more than just a means of earning money, but a way of self-expression and self-affirmation. 6 months after the trial, she decided to take an important step, opening her own design studio. The bank approved her loan, and Yana rented a small office in the city center. Vorani for design, she said, admiring the new sign. Sounds respectable, right? Very, smiled her friend Sophia, who helped organize the opening. And the main thing is that it's completely yours. No one can take it away from you. Yana nodded. After everything she had been through, independence became the highest value for her. She no longer feared loneliness, did not seek approval, and did not doubt her decisions. On the day of the studio's opening, Yana received an unexpected message from Maxim. Congratulations on the opening. I always knew you would succeed. I'm sorry for everything. She stared at the phone screen for a long time, not knowing what to answer. Part of her wanted to just delete the message and forget about the past. But the other part understood that Maxim was also a victim. A victim of his own weakness and his mother's manipulation. Finally, she wrote a short reply. Thank you. I hope you are doing well, too. They didn't communicate anymore. Yana was determined not to look back. There was too much interesting stuff ahead to waste time on past grievances. By the anniversary of her divorce, her business had flourished so much that she was able to take out a mortgage on her own apartment. The day she signed the papers and received the keys became one of the happiest days of her life. Now I really have my own home, she said, entering the empty but already so familiar apartment. A place where no one will control my every step. She walked through the rooms, imagining how she would furnish them, what curtains she would hang, what flowers she would arrange. It was the beginning of a new chapter, chapters in which she herself determined the rules. And somewhere on the other side of the city, Maya Zakharovna sat by the window of her empty house, looking at the overgrown lawn and thinking about how one small victory turned into such a crushing defeat. The boomerang hit much harder than she could have imagined. 2 years flew by like one day. Maya Zakharovna climbed the porch stairs with difficulty, leaning heavily on the railing. Age and loneliness took their toll. The gait became slower, the breathing heavier, and the mood gloomier. The house greeted her with the usual silence. Once upon a time, life was in full swing here. Maxim's laughter was heard. Music thundered, and guests came. Now only the ticking of the old wall clock broke the oppressive silence. Maya Zakharovna went into the kitchen, put the kettle on, and with a familiar movement took out her phone, opened social media, and checked for messages from her son. In recent months, their communication has been reduced to rare calls on holidays and dry messages that he is doing well. Instead of a message from Maxim, a notification appeared on the screen. Sofia Ignatieva shared a photo with Yana Voronina. Maya Zakharovna felt her heart squeeze. Despite the passage of years, the name of her former daughter-in-law still evoked a storm of emotions in her. The finger hovered over the screen. Reason told me that there was no point in reopening old wounds. But curiosity proved stronger. She opened the photograph and froze. In the photo, Yana stood against the backdrop of the sea in a white dress with a bouquet of wildflowers in her hands. Next to her is a tall man in a light suit, with a confident smile and warm eyes. The caption read, "The most beautiful wedding on the Amalfi Coast. Yana and Anton, be happy." Maya Zakharovna felt the room swim before her eyes. She sank heavily into a chair, trying to cope with the surging emotions. Yana got married again. And she didn't just go out. She had a wedding in Italy, which Maya Zakharovna herself could only dream of. With trembling fingers, she scrolled through the other photographs. Here is Yana dancing with her new husband against the backdrop of the sunset. Here they are, exchanging rings. There, at the festive table, laden with exotic dishes, the kettle on the stove began to boil. But Maya Zakharovna did not pay attention to this. She continued to frantically look through the pictures, feeling the familiar feeling of rage and helplessness growing inside her. Who is this man? How is he better than my Maxim? She thought, studying the face of Yana's new husband. The man looked successful, self-confident, and 5 to 7 years older than Maxim. Maya Zakharovna opened Yana's profile and saw the description. Yana Voronina Berezhnaya, founder of the Voronina Design Studio, is Anton's happy wife. She didn't change her last name, she kept her own, only added her husband's with a hyphen. And this is, after all the traditions that I tried to instill in her. Maya Zakharovna thought with bitterness. She scrolled down the page and froze. In the new photo, Yana stood in front of a beautiful modern building with a Voronin design sign on the facade. The caption read, "Today our studio turned 1 year old. During this time we grew from 3 employees to 12 and opened a representative office in St. Petersburg. Thank you to everyone who believed in us. It was a real success, not just freelancing but our own studio with employees and branches. Yana didn't just survive all the attempts to ruin her reputation, she thrived. Maya Zakharovna closed the app and threw the phone away as if it had burned her hands. Such rage was seething inside her that she couldn't sit still. She stood up and paced the kitchen, clenching and unclenching her fists. It's not fair, she thought. Why did this upstart get everything, and Maxim and I? The phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. Her son's name appeared on the screen. Maxim. Her voice sounded strange, even to her. Mom, hi. There was an unusual nervousness in her son's voice. How are you? Fine, she answered automatically. And what happened? What made you think something happened? You're calling on Wednesday afternoon. You usually call on weekends. Maxim was silent for a moment, then sighed. I need to tell you something, preferably in person. Can I come by this evening? Maya Zakharovna's heart began to beat faster. Had he finally decided to come home? Or maybe he'd met a nice girl? Of course, son. I'll be waiting. She hung up and for the first time in a long time felt a glimmer of hope that life would get better. Maxim arrived at 7 p.m. He looked tired, but somehow determined. Maya Zakharovna greeted him with a set table and fresh pastries, just like the good old days. Come in, son. I baked your favorite apple pie. Maxim smiled faintly. Thank you, Mom, but I won't be long. I need to tell you something. They sat down at the table. Maya Zakharovna poured tea and pushed a plate with a pie towards her son. Her heart was throbbing with anticipation of important news. I saw photos of Yana today, she couldn't help but say. She got married again. Maxim nodded. I know, Anton is the owner of an advertising agency. They met at some business event. Do you follow her? Maya Zakharovna narrowed her eyes suspiciously. No, Mom, I don't. It's just that Moscow. The city is small, especially for people in the same field. News reaches me. He sipped his tea, collecting his thoughts. Mom, do you remember that girl Christina, with whom I had an affair, because of whom Yana and I divorced? Maya Zakharovna tensed up. Of course I remember. What, we're back together? What? She almost dropped the cup. But you said she left you. And that's how it was. Maxim looked out the window, avoiding Mom's gaze. But 6 months ago we met by chance and got to talking. Anyway, we decided to try again. Why are you back with that homewrecker again? Don't call her that. For the first time, Maxim's voice hardened. Christina is an inseparable woman. My marriage didn't fall apart. Because of her. Because of what? Because of that ungrateful woman. Because of you, Mom, he said quietly. Because of your constant manipulation, criticism, and control. Maya Zakharovna froze, not believing her ears. What are you saying? I always wanted only the best for you. I know, he sighed. The problem is that the best in your understanding means complete control over my life. I'm only beginning to understand this after 2 years of therapy. What therapy? Maya Zakharovna felt the world around her crumbling. I'm seeing a psychologist. Mom, after this whole story with the court, I needed to sort myself out. He pushed the untouched pie away, and I came to tell you that Christina and I are moving to St. Petersburg. I was offered a good position at the head office. Are you leaving? Maya Zakharovna clutched her heart. Are you leaving me because of some mom? Stop. Maxim raised his hand. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You immediately resort to manipulation. You abandon me as if my move to another city is some kind of betrayal. He got up from the table. I'm not abandoning you. I'm starting to live my own life. I'm 38 years old. It's about time. After everything I've done for you, tears streamed down Maya Zakharovna's cheeks. I'm grateful to you for so much, Maxim said softly. But your care always came with conditions. I had to live the way you wanted, love those you approved of. And I obeyed for too long. He headed for the exit. We're leaving in a week. I'll send you a new address. And please don't try to turn me against Christina. It won't work. When the door closed behind Maxim, Maria Zakharovna was left sitting in a daze. Her whole world, all her plans had collapsed completely. Her son not only didn't come back, He was leaving again further with the woman she despised. That night, Maya Zakharovna felt ill. A sharp pain in her chest, shortness of breath, cold sweat, fear of death. She barely reached the phone and called an ambulance. They kept her in the hospital for 3 days. The doctors talked about stress, about the need to take care of herself, to avoid worries. But how to avoid worries when your whole life is gone? Downhill? Do you have relatives who could look after you? Asked the elderly doctor, writing out a prescription. A son, Maya Zakharovna answered automatically and then smiled bitterly. But he is leaving for another city with a woman. The doctor shook her head sympathetically. Children grow up, that's natural. Maybe she should be happy, for him. Happy. Maya Zakharovna looked at the doctor as if he was crazy. He is leaving his mother alone. Moving is not a disaster, the doctor softly noted. Now there are telephones, the internet. You can communicate with everyone day. But Maya Zakharovna wasn't listening. One thought was spinning in her head. Everyone had turned away from her. Her son, neighbors, acquaintances. She was left alone. And that upstart Yana is now living a happy life, with a new husband, a successful business, in the spotlight of everyone's admiration. It's all because of her, Maya Zakharovna thought, returning home in a taxi. If it weren't for her, Maxim would be with me. If it weren't for her, everything would be as before. But somewhere deep down she knew it wasn't true. Yana had left their lives long ago, but the problems remained, and it wasn't her former daughter-in-law's fault. Maxim kept his promise and sent a new address before leaving. He even stopped by to say goodbye, brought groceries, medicine, and made sure his mother was okay after the hospital. "I'll call Mom," he said, standing at the door, "and come for the holidays." "Don't deceive yourself, at least," she answered bitterly. "I won't be with you anymore." "I'll see. Why do you say that? St. Petersburg isn't on another planet. It's just a few hours by train. She'll turn you against me." Maya Zakharovna nodded toward the car where Christina was waiting. "This is your new love." Maxim sighed heavily. "You see, you're at it again. Instead of being happy for me, you immediately look for an enemy and prepare for war." He hugged his mother. "I love you, Mom, but I need to learn to live without your control, and you also need to learn to live your own life, not mine." Maya Zakharovna didn't answer. She watched her son walk down the stairs, get into the car, Christina smile at him, and she felt a growing emptiness inside that nothing could fill. When the car disappeared around the corner, she returned to the house and for the first time in many years felt how big and lifeless it was. Traces of a past life were everywhere. Photographs of Maxim at different ages, his school awards, the books he loved as a child. But Maxim himself was no longer there. Maya Zakharovna approached the window, the very one from which she had admired her rose garden and English lawn for years. But now she looked not outward, but inward, at her reflection in the glass. An aging woman with a bitter line around her mouth looked at her with tired eyes. "What have I done?" An unfamiliar thought flashed through her mind. But Maya Zakharovna immediately dismissed it. She wasn't used to admitting her mistakes, even in private.